Part 36. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhong Dai Shang. Chapter 351. With the successful capture of Kazukebyo, Kuro Rabbit suddenly became full of energy. After handing the yo in his hand to Jin's care, Kuro Rabbit spoke energetically. I'm optimistic about Miss Yao, Lord Ren. I'm going to catch the other two problem children. I understand, please work harder. Black Rabbit looking at Kazukebyoshi next to him, Jin replied with a wry smile. Northeastern boundary wall, free area, commercial area, red window corridor. Izayoi and Asuka shuttled through the corridor covered with red glass, blending into the crowd to avoid being pursued by the Black Rabbit. The two of them were hiding in the horizontal path between storefronts. They poked their heads out from the red brick wall and peeked at the surrounding situation. Ah, yeah, it looks like Black Rabbit is really angry this time. After making sure it was safe, Izayoi pulled Asuka out. After all, he made such serious words as withdrawing from the community queue. Asuka sighed helplessly and straightened out his red dress. Ah, if it was just a joke, it does seem a little serious. Izayoi laughed as he patted his head in fear. Forget it, I'll apologize to Black Rabbit later. As for now, let's have fun. It's rare to have the opportunity to participate in such a lively festival. Can you be the flower protector, Izayoi-kun? Elegantly gathering her skirt, Juyuan Asuka said with a chuckle. That's natural. Izayoi accepted this readily. And just as Izayoi and Asuka were avoiding the pursuit of the Black Rabbit, on the other side, Yamina, Shanisa, and Afaiz also came to the glass corridor under the leadership of Letitia. Then, by chance, I met Izayoi and Asuka. I said you are still playing hide and seek with Black Rabbit. Even if you are willful, you should be more careful. Looking at Asuka and Izayoi Letitia in front of him, he said this with helpless expressions. Letitia, have you come here too? Hey, has Mr. Yayu come back too? It's been a long time. Izayoi was slightly startled when he saw Yayu. Just when he was about to say something funny, he saw Nasha and Neza behind Yayu. Because the girl hid her dragon horns and tail and did not have such distinctive features, Izayoi did not recognize her for a while. After looking carefully for a while, Izayoi finally remembered who the purple-haired girl in front of him was. Yu. Not only Izayoi was frightened, but even Asuka stared at Nashinaza with lingering fear. What happened more than a month ago is still fresh in their minds. This humble little girl is a demon king who is even more terrifying and feared than Shiro Yakusha. Is it really okay for the demon king to appear here so brazenly, or is this the incoming demon king predicted by Shiro Yakusha? If this is the case, I cannot accept it. Not long ago, I vowed to accept the commission, but if I am facing this girl devil. Izayoi smiled bitterly as she thought about this. Although she was full of passion, she couldn't get enough of it if her enemy was her. A demon king with this level of strength is totally cheating. Well, what did that bastard Yakusha say? Did he say something bad about me? Shiro Yasha said that there will be a demon king attacking at the Fire Dragon Birth Festival, but the specific situation is not very clear, but I think this demon king must not be this sir. If it is you, I really don't know how to stop it. I have no interest in doing such boring things. I am here to participate in the festival. As for the demon king and others, if they come to disturb my interest, I don't mind letting them know what a real natural disaster is. Nashinaza said this with a dangerous look in her purple eyes. Neither Letitia nor Izayoi had any intention of doubting the girl's words. If the master in front of her was unhappy, she would destroy the entire lower level. It's not a difficult thing, right? But at least Shiro Yasha is also at the Fire Dragon Birth Festival now. Can he at least restrain this somewhat lawless demon king? Oh I finally found you two, problem children. Just after Izayoi and Asuka stayed here to chat for a while, a voice full of resentment suddenly rang out. Looking back, he saw that the whole body was hunched, his hands were hanging low and shaking in front of him, and a strange sound came from his mouth. Black Rabbit, who was exuding a thick resentment that was burning like a flame, came over. Ah, it's so scary. The Black Rabbit like this is so scary. Seeing the Black Rabbit like this, Kuanosuka was obviously frightened. Miss, separate and run away, Izayoi shouted like this, smashing the glass corridor on the other side and escaping. Even if you say so, it's too much to ask a lady like me to hit the glass. He stomped his feet in dissatisfaction, and Kuanosuka helplessly watched Izayoi walk away. Oh he, don't run away, Asuka's strange voice suddenly sounded from behind, making Kuanosuka tremble. That, please calm down, Black Rabbit. Looking at Black Rabbit who was approaching with a crazy expression on his face, Kuanosuka said, sweating profusely. In this case, only Mr. Izayoi, the biggest problem child, is left. Lady Letitia, Black Rabbit turned around and shouted to Letitia. I understand, Black Rabbit. Letitia accepted Kuanosuka with a wry smile. If this is the case, ugh, it hurts, he turned around handsomely, and screamed in agony as Black Rabbit, who was just about to continue chasing Izayoi, screamed. A hand suddenly stretched out from behind her, grabbed the Black Rabbit by its ears and lifted it up. I said, Black Rabbit, have you had enough trouble? A somewhat funny yet helpless voice rang out. The one who grabbed the Black Rabbit's ears was naturally Yayu. Hey. It's obviously Izayoi and the others who are causing such nonsense. So Black Rabbit is going to punish that problem child, Izayoi. Aren't you going to compensate for the exceptions that were made before this? Yayu just carried the Black Rabbit and turned his gaze to the glass that was smashed by Izayoi. This is obviously a good thing that guy Izayoi did. Black Rabbit screamed in grievance, while Yayu shook his head. Although it is Izayoi's good deeds, they will be blamed on our nameless people. Are you still following this nonsense and want our nameless names to become famous throughout the North District? It's okay. This happens to be our family's territory. It's just a few pieces of glass, so I don't need you Black Rabbit to compensate me. Just as he was talking, another voice rang out, waving a folding fan to gently cover half of his face. Byakusha walked over with a smile. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 352. Why are you here again? Seeing Shiroyasha appear, Black Rabbit was just about to say thank you, but immediately Nashanaza raised her eyebrows slightly and said this unhappily. If I don't come, who knows what you will do? I can't rest assured that you, the Demon King, are running around without anyone to supervise you. Shiroyasha chuckled and said this, while Nashanaza curled her lips. What will I do? I have participated in the Fire Dragon Birth Festival many times. Don't you know that I just came to participate in the festival? I know, of course I know, but although I'm not afraid of you provoking others, I'm still afraid that some unsighted people will provoke you. Then it won't be much fun. Byakusha said and shrugged helplessly. Ah, that's right. It's normal for a cute girl like me to be spied on by someone with evil intentions. This is something you, a small-breasted Lolita, can't understand at all. Nashanaza nodded and said this in agreement, while Shiroyasha on the other side also nodded subconsciously. Yeah, wait a minute, what do you say? Who are you calling a small-breasted Lolita? Didn't you admit it? Admit it, you big-headed devil. Seeing the two people arguing like children bickering, Yayu shook his head in amusement, and Letitia on the other side also showed a somewhat helpless look. As for Black Rabbit, he took this opportunity to slip away. The pursuit of Izayoi continued. Okay, we are all people in high positions. How can we be so noisy? We are not afraid of letting the people below laugh. After a long while, the quarrel between the two Lolita was stopped because of Shiroyasha's light words. This time the Fire Dragon Birth Festival is different from the past. Our Thousand Eyes Cotters predicted the signs of the devil's attack. If possible, we hope you will lend a helping hand. After all, you don't want the festival to be destroyed, right? Well, are there any demon kings that you can't deal with? It's not that I can't deal with it, it's just an insurance measure. After all, no one knows what kind of demon king will attack. It really doesn't look like you, Shiroyasha, the star spirit who once controlled the sun and the white night, and the demon king who ruled the little garden. If it were you in the past, you would have killed an opponent like this without blinking an eye, right? It goes without saying what I said in the past, I am no longer the demon king now. Waving a folding fan to cover half of his face, Byaksha stared at Natianaza gently, not knowing what he was thinking in his heart-stopping golden eyes. Oh, that's right, I forgot, you are no longer the demon king, even your godhood. Okay, enough of that, Deathwing, if that's just a dig at me. Tisk, call me Natianaza, that name doesn't sound good at all. The words Deathwing came out of Shiroyasha's mouth, making Letitia's eyelids twitch involuntarily. This title was more than just a name, it also represented some kind of omnipotence. Just like Shiroyasha's power over the sun and night, Deathwing is the power over Nesha and Nisa. She is the destined annihilator, the inevitable catastrophe that is unstoppable. By the way, this little girl is, oh, when did you give birth to a baby dragon? Looking at Off-Eyes next to Yayu, Byaksha showed an interested look. With her strength, it was easy to see the opponent's identity as a dragon, and she was as pure a dragon as Nasha. Blood. Yes, this is my and Yayu Sheng's little dragon. Nation and Nasha narrowed her eyes, approached Yayu and hugged his arm intimately. Hey, this joke is not funny at all, Yayu said, somewhat dumbfounded, while Off-Eyes on the other side tilted his head and uttered two words. Dad. Don't make trouble. Angrily, he hit Off-Eyes on the head, causing the girl to scream and squat down, covering her head. Although Yayu acted very nervous and helpless, it seemed that both Byaksha and Letitia looked at him very strangely. Byaksha just said this jokingly at first, but now she is also a little curious whether this little dragon really belongs to her and Yayu Sheng. Because although Off-Eyes is just a little dragon in Shiroyasha's mouth, the opponent's strength as a pure-blood dragon is definitely not bad. If there wasn't a real relationship between father and daughter, Shiroyasha couldn't figure out why such a strong man could call him daddy. Forget it, I'm too lazy to think about your relationship. Come with me and meet the organizers of this festival. At least let them know your existence, otherwise you will cause some trouble by running around. Well, it's just that I'm not very easy to explain. The northeastern boundary wall, the stage area, is the operation headquarters of the Fire Dragon Birth Festival. After Byaksha and Yayu said this, they took him to the base of the community Salamandra, the headquarters responsible for holding the Fire Dragon Birth Festival. Entering from the palace dug out of the huge bright red realm wall, Yayu, led by two soldiers, had already seen the high platform not far away and the preparation room behind the high platform. Ah! It's Lord Shiroyasha. Are you here? A petite figure wearing a gorgeous red princess costume came out of the preparation room, with a tinkling sound like silver bells. Ah, you've been waiting for a long time, Sandora. Walking closer, the girl's appearance was revealed to everyone's eyes. Her fresh and lovely cheeks were slightly happy. Her long, gorgeous fiery red hair was coiled up dignifiedly around the two unique little dragon horns. The pendant hanging on her exquisite little hands and feet further showed the agility of the little girl. Looking at such a young girl, Yayu then remembered that the new leader of the community Salamandra seemed to be just an 11-year-old child. Although he had known it for a long time, Yayu couldn't help but sigh after seeing it. Is it really okay for such a young child to be the leader of such a large community? Hey, who are these? After saying hello to Shiroyasha, The little princess looked at the group of people around Shiroyasha with some curiosity. She originally thought that only Shiroyasha would come alone, but why did he bring so many people with him? Well, you should know these two unknown members and the leader Ren, right? As for these two, they came from above. Without directly telling the identity of Naisha and Naisha, Byaksha gave a somewhat vague explanation, so that Sandora, as the leader, would definitely know it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Shang. Chapter 353. Although he is still very young, since he can sit in the position of leader, he is definitely not an idiot. Byaksha said vaguely, and Sandora immediately understood what she wanted to express. The person from above, whose identity cannot be disclosed, is a big shot who cannot be ignored. Come, are you from above? Sandora has met these two adults and doesn't know what to call them yet. Just call me Nesha Nessa, this guy is Off-Eyes. Really, Master Nesha, Nisa, and Master Off-Eyes, welcome you to the community Salamandra as guests to participate in the Fire Dragon Birth Festival. It's been a long time since I last saw Jin, as well as Letitia-sama. I've admired the reputation of the Knights of Hakatani for a long time. After greeting Nation, Nasa, and Off-Eyes, Sandora greeted Letitia and Ren, but Yayu, a guy with no sense of presence, was directly ignored. Just when Yayu touched the tip of his nose and showed a depressed expression, Sandora's eyes finally fell on him again. By the way, there is this friend, I almost forgot about you. Sandora stuck out her tongue in embarrassment and said so cutely. Well, there's no need to know this guy's identity. He's just a nameless person, just an errand boy. Byaksha waved his hands and said this with an indifferent expression, while Sandora shook her head. How is that possible? How can the leader of the organizer be so rude? Everyone who comes to participate in the Fire Dragon Festival is a guest of our community Salamandra. Byaksha was actually deliberately trying to squeeze Yayu, but what was a little surprising was that as the leader, Sandora shook her head and said these words, which made Yayu a little unexpected. Although a girl with such a personality is very lovable, to be honest, she is not suitable to be the leader of such a large community, let alone the burden of being a class ruler on the shoulders of a girl. To be honest, Yayu was not very optimistic about the girl's future. In his opinion, a girl like this was still at an age where she was acting like a spoiled child to her parents and enjoying the pampering of her relatives. But just when Yayu was about to say his name, a somewhat surprising voice sounded. Sandra, don't forget your identity. Your words and deeds represent our community Salamandra. Lord Shiroyaksha is absolutely right. There is no need for the servant to know the specific name. Appearing behind Sandora was a man dressed in the same exotic style. He had a scimitar on his waist, and his eyes looking at Yayu were full of disdain. That's so rude, Brother Mandela. Is this how Salamandra should treat guests? As a large community, we should show our own magnanimity. It's not right to look down on others casually. Behavior. Humph, the way of hospitality depends on who the guest is. A mere nameless has no qualifications worthy of our respect as Salamandra. We're not happy when you say that, Mandela. I'm calling you unknown this time for the sake of your community Salamandra. What advice do you have, Lord Shirayaksha? Although I don't want to undermine your self-confidence, Mandela, the situation this time is really serious. Byaksha looked at the two people in front of him, and immediately handed them the letter predicting the devil's attack. People. The Fire Dragon Birth Festival showed signs of the Demon King's attack. This simple sentence made both Sandora and Mandela look a little ugly. Although he didn't want to believe this fact, it was obvious that Shiroyasha, as a class ruler, would not joke about such a thing. Even if there is a Demon King coming, it's ridiculous that a mere nameless can do something. Although he attached great importance to the news brought by Yaksha, Mandela still looked dismissive of the nameless. Brother Mandela, please don't be like this. He is the Demon King. No matter how cautious you are when facing the Demon King, you can never be too cautious, Sandora said and looked at Ren with an apologetic look. I'm really sorry. Due to my father's serious illness and the matter of succession, I never had the opportunity to visit your place. I didn't expect. Sandora, you don't have to be sorry. Ren smiled bitterly as he faced the girl who was his former playmate and is now the leader of the aloof Salamandra community. Thinking about the identity gap between the two, his face was filled with tears. His wry smile couldn't help but get heavier. That's enough, nameless trash, who allows you to call the leader by his name? In response to Ren's words, Mandela once again stood up angrily, and almost drew his sword directly at him. Okay, Brother Mandela, please respect yourself. Just because you encountered misfortune, you abandoned your former allies at will. If one day Salamandra encounters the same situation, do you also want us to be treated like this by other communities? Are you making sarcastic remarks? Shandora couldn't bear it and scolded Mandela sternly. No matter what he said was too much. This is a matter of principle, and can you arbitrarily conclude that the devil is coming just by relying on a letter? Mandela said and looked at Shiro Yaksha with evil intentions. Thousand Eyes is just a class ruler in the East District after all. This naked overreach of authority is a bit too much. Not only did he bring a rubbish community like Nameless to our community headquarters, but he also casually bringing strangers in here. What do you think we Salamandra are? Mandela said, but in the end he turned his finger and pointed it at Nesha, and Off-Eyes who had not spoken until now. Well, what's wrong? When she realized that everyone's eyes were suddenly focused on her, Nayashanisa couldn't help but blinked in surprise. Oh, you were treated as a random stranger by the Salamandra guy. Don't you have anything to say? While shaking his folding fan and gently covering his mouth, Shiro Yaksha revealed a smile. An expression of looking forward to a good show. Oh, so what? To Bayasha's surprise, Nation-Isa didn't look angry at all, and seemed to not care at all about Mandela's words. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 354. To them Salamandra, I am a stranger. What's the problem? Anyway, I'm just here to participate in the festival. What you are arguing about has nothing to do with me. You know, I only care about your face. Come here with me, Shiro Yaksha. Nayashanisa shook her head as she said this, looking a little disappointed. But now after reading it, I am really more and more disappointed. The Demon King of the White Knight, who once made the entire little garden tremble, has become so weak. He can still act like this in the face of the provocation of mere ants from the lower class. Be patient in every possible way. I'm still wondering why you appear in the eyes of the world with such a ridiculous posture. It turns out that it is like this. After losing your godhead, you are as weak and incompetent as the little girl you are now. Who are you talking about? Mandela was originally a little annoyed that Nesha called him an ant, but before he could finish his words, he was suppressed by an even more terrifying aura. Do you want to fight, Nation-Aza? He, Demon King of the White Knight, do you think you may still be my opponent now? Facing the suffocating pressure emanating from Shirayasha, Nation-Aza chuckled without fear, and confronted Shirayaksha with her golden eyes full of enchanting colors. As the two of them confronted each other, a terrifying air current swept through the entire hall, crushing everything in sight into powder. Lord Shirayasha. Under the protection of her brother Mandela, she was not affected by this terrible pressure. Sandora spoke extremely nervously. If the two people confronting each other in front of them really fight, I am afraid that the entire North District will suffer huge consequences. Destruction, right? Well, It's interesting. It's a preview of the Demon King's attack. Aren't these two guys in front of me the most evil Demon Kings? And then the two of them caused destruction. There's nothing we can do about it? Yeah, you rubbed his chin and muttered, while Letitia on the side looked dumbfounded. Stop joking at this time and think about how to stop them too. Even if you say that, I don't know what to do for a while. Yeah, you looked very troubled. He wanted to stop them, but the two Lolita in front of him were more perverted than the other. Even if he wanted to stop them, he was powerless. Do you think the two of them will listen to my advice? They are both arrogant guys. It would be strange if they would listen to my words. Yeah, you shrugged and said this. He had no intention of intervening, or in other words, he was simply watching everything that was happening in front of him as a joke. And he didn't have the ability to intervene. Whether it was Shiroyasha or Nation Aza, they could defeat him easily. He didn't have any unpleasant thoughts on his own. It's best to watch a show at this time. Anyway, it's impossible for the two of them to really demolish the North District. And just when Yayu was thinking this, due to the impact of powerful power, Nation Aza could no longer maintain the simple concealment technique exerted on herself. Immediately, the spiral dragon horns and Q-tail were revealed. Shandora and Mandela on the side were immediately startled by this gesture. Dragon, pure blood of dragon. As a descendant of the Star Sea Dragon King, although the bloodline has been degraded and diluted and is not as good as before, neither Shandora nor Mandela can mistake the dragon's pure blood. The girl confronting Shiroyasha in front of her is the ultimate creature that rivals the gods and demons in the small garden, the pure blood of a dragon that even their ancestors could not match. How could? The expression on Mandela's face became extremely wonderful. He was stunned and couldn't say a word. This guy whom he had just regarded as having an unknown origin turned out to be a pure-blooded dragon. He was such a shocking figure. But fortunately, the other party didn't show any disgust at the arrogant words he just said. Otherwise, even if he died to apologize, he might not be able to protect Salamandra. The reason why he dared to say such words to Shiroyaksha and question him was because Shiroyaksha was also a class ruler. Just like what the pure-blooded girl of the mysterious dragon said, she is no longer the demon king of the White Knight who changed the color of the entire Hakoniwatan. As a class ruler, she has shackles on her body, and she can no longer be the same as she once was. Do whatever you want. Wild beasts are certainly terrifying, but a shackled beast will only become the target of wanton bullying. Although Mandela never thought that it would be a very simple matter for this beast to break free from his chains. However, Shiroyasha will not break away from this chain. After giving up her identity as the Demon King for so many years, she has gained many things that she cannot let go of. Now she is just Shiroyasha after all. She can never go back to the past, and she can no longer become the raging Demon King. The devil of the White Knight of Heaven and Earth. Tisk, it's all your fault, Byaksha, now it's been exposed, what do you think I should do? As Nasha said this, she glanced at Sandora and Mandela with malicious eyes. Just kill all these people who see things they shouldn't see. How dare you, Nasha. If you dare to mess around on the lower levels, the higher-ups won't let you go. Are you talking about those cowardly gods and demons who are afraid of death? If they show up in front of me, I dare to kill them one by one. Hearing that Byaksha actually used the gods and demons above to scare her, Nation Aza couldn't help but open the corners of her mouth slightly, revealing a somewhat ferocious smile. Are you serious? What do you think? Don't forget my divine personality and divine power. Those guys are extremely afraid of me. Nation Aza said this, and Byaksha couldn't help but fall silent again. The girl in front of her, the pure blood of a dragon, was a being on par with gods and demons. Not to mention her incredible divine personality and power. Wings of Death, the destroyer of destiny, the terminator of all things. The girl's existence itself seems to be to end this absurd and boring world, and her divine power is to pronounce judgment on the entire world. It is also because of this that almost no gods and demons in the entire little garden want to deal with her, even if they want to restrain her, because if they are not careful, they will die in the hands of this girl. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 355. The conversation sounds more and more interesting, killing gods and demons and so on. It's not interesting at all, it's getting more and more dangerous, right? Letitia said with a wry smile, while Yayu shrugged again. Even if you say so, I still have no choice. But since it has become so dangerous, it is better to stay away as soon as possible. Be careful of being affected. It's really irresponsible to say this. Although Yayu said this, he actually didn't move to hide away, because he was sure that Shiroyaksha and Nashaneza were just children having an quarrel, and it was absolutely impossible for them to fight. Both Neza, and Shiroyasha are trying to show off their strength, but now it seems that Shiroyasha can no longer defeat the other. After all, one is a class ruler who has many things to consider, while the other is a demon king who does whatever he wants and doesn't need to worry about anything at all. She had already lost from the beginning, Shiroyasha, she didn't have the capital to act recklessly, while Nashaneza was just the opposite. Sure enough, things were just as Yayu thought. After taking a deep breath, Byaksha looked at the unyielding Nation and Nasha in front of him and relented. Okay, this is all our fault, okay, you don't really want to fight me, do you, Nashaneza? Humph, I already told you that I'm just here to participate in the festival. Who is interested in fighting with you? Nashaneza said this, and looked deeply at Byaksha, as if she wanted to say something else, but she endured it in the end. Nashaneza was disappointed. She was really disappointed. The demon king of White Night, who once ravaged the entire little garden, has now become the lackey of those superior gods and demons, and has become the maker and maintainer of rules. Seeing that the terrible conflict finally came to an end, both Letitia and Sandora breathed a sigh of relief. Still staring at the dragon horns on Nashaneza's head with some lingering fear, Sandora spoke with some curiosity. I still don't know which community this lord is a member of. Ask me, little girl, have you ever heard of the Scourge? The Scourge? That pure demon king community. Before Sandora could speak, Mandela on the side let out an exclamation. Shiroyasha, what is your intention in bringing such a dangerous person to the Fire Dragon Birth Festival? Do you mean that as the class ruler of the East District, you don't want Sandora to rise to power? Tisk, do you think I can stop this guy? As you can see, she is the most evil demon king, and even I can't do anything about her. Glancing at Mandela, Byaksha said lazily. Yes, this is the demon king that Shiroyasha can only run away from. If he wants to destroy Salamandra, he can just wave his hand, right? Yayu narrowed his eyes and said this, immediately frightening Sandora, and Mandela, who had always been showing an arrogant attitude, had a cloudy expression on his face, as if he was measuring Nesha and Nisa's true strength. So it's all your fault, Byaksha. Every time I come to the festival, everything is fine, but you ask me to come to see the organizer this time. Hey, has Lady Nisa and Nisa attended the Fire Dragon Birth Festival many times? That's right. It's a dragon worship festival, so I'm very interested in it. So that's how it is. Even though Nisa Neza is a demon king, she is always an easy person to get along with. I hope you can have a good time at the festival. Sandora. Mandela seemed to want to say something more, but was given a gentle glance by Sandora. Brother Mandela, since I am the leader of Salamandra, please respect my decision, or do you want to be rude to the members of the community who have come down from the third outer layer? Sorry, it's my fault. Sandora's words were both a warning and a threat. No matter what identity Nesha and Nisa were, this was not an existence that their salamandra could handle. Even Bayasha didn't dare to face its sharp existence, let alone their small community in the fifth outer layer. An unpleasant meeting ended like this. In the end, Yayu still didn't have time to say his name to the little princess. I don't know why, I feel very uncomfortable for no reason. When leaving the salamandra headquarters, Yayu rubbed the tip of his nose unhappily, while Nasha on the other side seemed to be in a very happy mood. After all, she felt very happy that Bayasha, her old enemy, had surrendered to her. In this way, I can use a few days to squeeze that guy anytime in the future. As the ruler of the class, Shiroyasha still had a lot of things to do, but Kazuke was called away by her, as if there was a gift game that was very suitable for Yoshi to participate in. As for Asuka and Jin, they went to rest in the VIP room prepared by Salamandra. The chasing game with the black rabbit seemed to have exhausted the girl. By the way, Izayoi and Kuro Yosagi ran away to somewhere. Yayu muttered, while Letitia on the side showed a helpless smile. I think they will come back after enough trouble, right? While talking, Letitia planned to continue to act as a tour guide, taking Yayu and others to continue sightseeing, while also looking for a certain rabbit and the number one problem child. However, they didn't walk long before there was a loud noise in the distance, and then the most eye-catching building at the Fire Dragon Birth Festival, the bell tower in the center of the city, suddenly collapsed. Looks like there's no need to look for them. I think I already know where they are coming from. Letitia said this with a dumbfounded expression, while Yayu looked at the billowing smoke in the distance. It's really a huge commotion. Will the entire Salamandra community be furious? Something unpleasant happened just now. Mr. Mandela seems to have a great prejudice against us nameless people, and now something like this has happened again. Letitia rubbed her eyebrows, looking like she had a huge headache. Well, there is nothing we can do about it. Instead of thinking about this, we should rush over to help. If there are casualties, it will be even harder to explain. Yayu said this and Letitia nodded, and then the group rushed towards the place where the chaos occurred. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai. Chapter 356. Hey, why did you arrest me? We are obviously here to liven up the atmosphere of the festival. Stop talking about this problematic child like you. Who is responsible for why it's like this? Northeastern boundary wall, stage area. By the time Yayu and the others rushed over, it was obviously too late. Izayoi and Black Rabbit were treated as intruders and surrounded by troops holding the Salamandra flame dragon pattern high and their skin covered with lizard scales. Originally he wanted to arrest him, but after Black Rabbit almost cried, Izayoi still followed these lizardmen to the base of the community Salamandra, the palace where the Fire Dragon Birth Festival operations headquarters was located. So, even if it's just nonsense, it's just too much. Forget it, Izayoi-kun, why are you like this, Kuruto? Letitia, who was wearing a maid outfit, was preaching to the two of them. Izayoi looked distracted, while Black Rabbit shrugged his head and even drooped his long ears. Sorry, Tizia, it's all my fault, and I'm responsible for most of the damage. Hey. What are you still talking about now? This is just to help Shiroyasha warm up the atmosphere of the festival, and... Shut up. Damn Wyoming. How dare you make such a loud noise in the hall? A sharp shout overcame Izayoi's voice, and following the sound, a man with red hair and long horns, a scimitar on his waist, walked in quickly from the door with an angry face. Natianaza was not in the hall. She seemed to have taken off eyes to watch the festival outside. Shiroyasha was not here either. The only person worth paying attention to in the hall was Letitia. It was also because of this that Mandela was emboldened to scold him so harshly. "Man, Lord Mandela." Seeing the person coming, Ren stepped forward and said hello. "Humph. Sandora should have been conscious when she invited you here. Wyoming is so ungrateful and is still destroying the festival. If it weren't for Shiro Yaksha's sake, I really want to punish you one by one." "Really? This is really unpleasant. Boy Ren, if I remember correctly, you have said that Salamandra was once an ally of our guild, right?" "Ah, yes, yes. When the former leader was still there, he was indeed with Salamandra." Lowering his head, Jin responded to Izaoi's words with some difficulty. "Oh? So, when our guild was attacked by the Demon King, did Salamandra come to help as an ally?" That. Humph. Don't play such boring dramas again. Salamandra was indeed an ally with you in the past, but that was just a good relationship. There is nothing in the contract that says when the other guild is attacked by the Demon King, it must provide aid, terms." Mandela, who looked a little ugly, concealed his guilty conscience by saying, "Salamandra did have an alliance contract with Wyoming, but the contract stated that unless there are special circumstances, he must go to help. If that party is attacked by the devil, invasion." 3 years ago, when Wyoming was attacked by the Demon King, Salamandra tore up the contract documents because the leader was seriously ill. Even after the incident, Salamandra did not provide any assistance to Wyoming, because Wyoming, who had lost his guild and flag, was no longer worthy of an alliance with the 5-digit community Salamandra. This was Mandela's understanding. After all, it's just a 5th-level community. In this small garden world, it's just a weakling who can only cry out. It's not surprising that he would abandon the alliance and ignore it. Yayu, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke slowly, and Izaoi on the other side also showed a look of great agreement. Yes, I wanted to form an alliance with a powerful community and get protection. But I didn't expect that it would attract a more powerful Demon King, so I had to hide pitifully for fear of being discovered by the Demon King and being implicated. It's such a pity. Why didn't that powerful Demon King destroy you Salamandra as well? What are you talking about? 2 hateful brats? How dare you insult my name of Salamandra?" Mandela bared his ferocious fangs and drew the sword on his waist at Izaoi and Yayu. But the blow with the whistling sword energy suddenly solidified in mid-air. "Oh, are you already angry?" Yayu, who raised his eyebrows slightly, raised a finger, and Mandela's entire arm was covered with a light layer of frost. "Damn it! How dare you?" "Okay, Mandela. You should stop it a little bit." The majestic voice rang out, and Yayu was slightly startled, then looked back and found that the person in front of him was a mature woman with flowing blonde hair and a plump and attractive figure. Inexplicably, I feel that the woman in front of me looks very familiar, as if she has a bit of Letitia. "Who are you, beauty?" "I'm Letitia." Letitia, who was assuming a majestic posture, was about to continue saying something, but was made dumbfounded by Yayu's words. Well, this seems to be her special ability. When she unties the silk, she will turn into such a mature and beautiful adult form. Izaoi said this while rubbing his chin, and Yayu also noticed that the silk that had been tied up on Letitia's head was missing. "Mandrick, you have said enough. There is indeed something wrong with Black Rabbit and Izaoi. We have done so whether we apologize or offer compensation. What else do you want?" "Humph. Letitia, do you also want to teach me?" "It's just the former Demon King. Knight of the Box Garden, Letitia. Now you." Before Mandela finished speaking, a biting cold air spread in the hall, and in an instant he felt half of his body unconscious. Are you kidding me? This power." The incredible power of frost made Mandela's eyes widen. As a descendant of the fire dragon, he had the gift of fire, but Mandela found that he felt deep fear in front of this frost. Tisk, he is really a bully and shy of the strong. No wonder the whole Salamandra abandons its allies like this. Yeah, you laughed softly and spoke so casually, but Mandela, who wanted to refute, couldn't say a word. Just suppressing the invasion of frost has exhausted all his strength. If he relaxes, he may be completely swallowed up by this terrible frost and lose his will in an instant. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Shang. Chapter 357. While Yayu was having a dispute at the headquarters, a wave of cheers was erupting in the stage area, in the game venue connected to the headquarters palace. The game venue has a circular outline, and the audience seats are set along the outline, showing a form that surrounds the venue. The gift game on Shirayash's flyer is currently being held in the venue, and the competition for the right to participate in the finals is ongoing on the stage. Miss. That's right there. Now, go around behind your opponent and kick him away. Then the three-haired cat leaning to the side yelled as an assistant. The person fighting on the stage is Yoshi, who has been active from the preliminaries to the semi-finals. Her enemy is the Stonewall Giant, an automaton belonging to the community Rock Eater. This way, the winner will be decided. Yao, who used the gift from the Griffin to control the whirlwind, flew behind the Stonewall Giant. Boom! Unleashing the power from the elephant, Yao's legs kicked the Stonewall Giant hard. Under the influence of huge force, the giant who was weight on his head crashed to the end. At the same time, the audience also let out deafening cheers. After winning the victory, Yao finally relaxed her tense body. The joy of victory made her smile slightly. At this moment, a white-haired Lolita wearing a kimono who was sitting on the high platform of the palace walked down from her seat and came to the stage. He tapped the microphone with both hands, and the commotion in the entire venue suddenly stopped. The final winner is Kazuke Byoshi from No. Name. In this way, the last list to participate in the finals is also ready. The finals game is scheduled to be held after tomorrow. As for the rules of the game starting tomorrow, well, I would like to trouble another organizer, who is also the rightful owner of this festival, to explain the rules to everyone. Bayasha, who was standing in front of the high platform, said with a hearty smile, turned around, and gave up the center position. Come out. The petite, cute but majestic red-haired princess in brightly colored noble attire stood up from her throne after hearing Shiro Yaksha's reminder. This little girl who emerged from the dust is the new class ruler who has inherited the dragon's horns from the dragon's purebred, Star Sea Dragon King, and the young leader of Salamandra with the flame dragon pattern as its banner, Sandora Te Erdorek. However, Sandora seemed a little nervous at this moment. Seeing this, Yaksha showed a gentle smile and gently urged her. Haha, after all, this is a gorgeous debut show. I understand that you will definitely be nervous, but you must show a smile in front of everyone. Because class rulers like us are the spiritual support of the lower class community. Besides, if the expression is so stiff, the clothes I gave you will lose their style, and you must show a strong attitude now. Encouraged by Yaksha, Sandora nodded slightly and suppressed the nervousness in her heart, and stepped forward. I am the ruler of the North District who was introduced just now, Sandora Teldorek. The festival Fire Dragon Birth Festival jointly organized by the East District and the North District also passed the first day smoothly. There were no accidents worthy of special mention, so I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to everyone in the East District community and North District community who assisted in the event. As for future games, first of all, please refer to the invitation letter at hand. A clear, melodious, and resolute voice like a silver bell spread throughout the venue through the loudspeaker microphone. Shandora's first performance was perfect, and all the audience picked up the invitations around them. The name of the gift game, Duel of the Creators. Hosting the game community, game leader, Salamandra. Contestants, Will-O-Wisp, Rattenfanger, no. Name. Final game rules: compete with the gifts created by each community. In order for the gift to have its full effect, an assistant is allowed to accompany you. The game must be cracked by the registered gift holder himself. A round-robin system will be adopted, with the community with the most wins winning. The winner will get to play against the game leader. Regarding the favors granted, contestants can ask for the favors they want from the Fire Dragon, the class dominator. Oath: respecting the above content, based on the glory and flag, the two communities will participate in the gift game. 1000.I seal. Sandora's debut show ended in a warm atmosphere. The relieved girl was returning to the palace behind from the high platform of the palace with Bayaksha. It was said that it was reported that Izayoi and Black Rabbit had caused some trouble, so Sandora seemed very anxious. Because it was Mandela who was handling this matter, the girl was afraid that her brother would say something bad again, which would embarrass both parties. Although the girl felt in her heart that what her brother did was indeed for the sake of Salamandra, she still could not agree with his actions. Not helping the allies who were attacked in the first place was already a matter of guilt and shame for the entire Salamandra. Now it is really disgusting to make things difficult for the descendants of the former allies in every possible way. After Shiroyasha and Sandora entered the hall, the situation was different from what they thought. Izayoi and Black Rabbit were sitting on the sofa with a leisurely look. On the contrary, Mandela standing aside had an expression on his face. Nice. Why, a little cold. Sandora was talking to herself strangely, while Bayaksha on the side showed a smile. She already knew why Mandela was standing there with an ugly face. The world of Little Garden itself is a world where everything speaks with power. If you can realize this, I have to say that it is done very well. After Shiroyasha and Sandora came in, Yao, who had quit the game, also came here with Shiro. At the scene, in addition to the eldest lady Kyuinasuka who didn't know where to go to play, there were two Nation, Neza, and Offis. Except for the cute dragon, everyone has arrived. Haha, I heard you guys were having a lot of fun. Well, I followed your request and heated up the atmosphere of the festival. Please don't speak so smugly. Izayoi-kun, you problem child. Black Rabbit couldn't help but shouted loudly again, and at this time Sandora stood up. Okay, I think Mr. Izayoi didn't do it on purpose. Fortunately, there were no casualties. It's a blessing among the misfortunes. Let's just forget about it. As Sandora said this, Mandela's face became even more ugly, but after noticing the look from Yayu who was standing there casually, he could only suppress the dissatisfaction in his heart again. Go back. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 358. Boss, a crepe. The lady in the red dress standing in front of the store said so elegantly, and immediately took the biscuits handed over by the store owner. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Letitia said it's a food you can't miss. After resting for a while, he wandered around alone again. Kyuinasuka couldn't help but think of the delicious food Letitia told him. The cookies that had just been baked exuded the rich aroma of almonds and the burnt aroma of caramel. As he walked, nibbling on the crepes, Kyuinasuka showed an extremely happy look. It really deserves to be a small garden, with such delicious food. Saying this from the bottom of his heart, suddenly a small yellow figure in front of him attracted Kyuinasuka's attention. Is this thing an elf? Asuka muttered to himself, approaching the elf with the pointed hat with a curious attitude. Perhaps it was the shadow of the flying bird that blocked the light from behind the elf in the pointed hat. She was startled and turned around. Immediately, their eyes met naturally. Yeah, the next moment, the pointed hat elf made a cute cry, turned around and flew away. So, without hesitation, Asuka chased after him. Boundary wall, stage area, exhibition venue for art exhibitions. After a long chase, Asuka finally caught the elf with the yellow pointed hat who was escaping in a hurry. Putting the elf in the pointed hat, who had also run exhausted, on his shoulders, Asuka wandered along the street again. I'm not going to catch you and eat you. Why are you running so fast? Awoo. The elf was obviously very tired from the race just now. He lay on Asuka's shoulders in a large shape and let out a tired cry. Asuka broke off a piece of crepe he bought from the store not long ago and gave it to the elf in the pointed hat. Here, give it to you. This is the proof of becoming friends. Under the temptation of the sweet fragrance, he sniffed it with his nose. The exhausted elf immediately sat up and took the shortbread and began to nibble on it. After eating a few cookies that were almost the same size as his own height, the elf in the pointed hat made a cute cry and climbed onto the bird's head. Ha ha, wahaha. Feeling the elf jumping happily on his head, Asuka couldn't help but feel happy for the success of the food luring plan. Since we are already friends, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Asuka, what's yours? Asuka. The elf in the pointed hat, who sounded like a toddler, shook his head left and right several times before tilting his head slightly and calling out Asuka's name. Yes, that's the pronunciation. Be energetic and don't doubt Juyuan. Asuka smiled and encouraged the elf on his shoulder. Asuka, he shouted decisively without hesitation. Hee, thank you. Then, can you tell me your name? The elf in the pointed hat stood up on the bird's head and said energetically. Rattenfanger. This, doesn't look like a name, does it? Juyuan Finiao muttered strangely, and then the little elf shouted again. No. Together. The name of the community, what about your name? Rattenfanger. Regarding Juyuan Finiao's question, the elf tilted his head strangely, as if he didn't understand. He just continued to shout the name that seemed to be a community. He had been talking to the elf all the time. Juyuan Asuka didn't notice that he walked into a cave without knowing it. Just like the streets outside, there was also an exhibition. Wonderful items belonging to various communities were neatly arranged. Place it here. Forget it, let's wait until later to talk about the name. It's really hard to talk to this little guy. Juyuan Finiao thought helplessly in his heart, and then started to visit with the elf. The two looked around at the numerous displays. The exhibition venue is a cave-like corridor dug into the boundary wall, so it is quite dark in the depths, and light from the outside cannot penetrate. However, this should also be to enhance the brilliance of the display design, right? The numerous candlesticks and lanterns that emit warm firelight, as well as the stunningly beautiful stained glass illuminated by the light source, all shine brighter and more brilliantly than other works seen outside. After that, the two people who continued to move forward in the exhibition hall came to a large hollow, which should be the center of the venue. However, there were no visitors. Is it because it was too dark? That is. Looking at the huge object placed in the middle of the exhibition, Kuyuan Asuka opened his mouth in surprise. The object displayed in the center of the large hollow is a giant made of red steel. The whole body is very gorgeous and scary, with the red and gold decoration. It is estimated to be about 30 feet tall. The armor is painted with an abstract painting based on sunlight, which is very overwhelming. Coupled with the huge hands and feet that should be twice the size of a human being, and the equally wide head and body, one can't help but wonder how it was able to move into this small entrance in the first place. Based on the delicate decoration on the red armor, you can feel the maker's extraordinary passion for the work. Okay, that's great. Which community made it? Asuka, Rattenfanger. The elf in the pointed hat opened his shining eyes and jumped down from Asuka's shoulder. The sign on the exhibit does indeed read Production, Rattenfanger and title of work, Dean. The birds and elves who were admiring the huge steel doll did not notice that deep in the deserted cave, there was a chuckle, and then countless pairs of scarlet eyes bloomed in the darkness. Come on. Juyuan Asuka looked around uneasily, as if she had felt something bad spying on her just now. A bad feeling lingered all over his body. Looking at the silent empty space, Juyuan Finiao felt a little scared. "Let's go," he said softly to the little guy on his shoulder. Juyuan Finiao wanted to leave here, and then at this moment, the noise became louder. What? How come there are so many rats? When she saw clearly the mighty creature rushing towards the end of the passage, Juyuan Asuka let out a high-pitched scream. Any woman who is still physically and mentally healthy would be scared to see such a scene. Screaming, right? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 359. You all stop, he hurriedly ordered loudly at the rushing rats, but the very useful gift power light had no effect this time. What's going on? Seeing that the gift had no effect, Juyuan Finiao quickly turned around and ran away screaming. From the depths of the pitch-black cave, the melodious sound of a flute floated. The mouse ran much faster than the bird expected, and soon came to him and launched an attack. Waving his arms randomly, he knocked away the mice that climbed onto his clothes. Strange, what do these rats want to do? His eyes accidentally caught a glimpse of the young elf lying on his shoulder, and Juyuan Asuka suddenly thought of a certain possibility. Is this child the target? Gritting his teeth, Asuka boldly opened the chest garment and stuffed the elf inside. Wumi! Hide under your clothes. Don't fall down. As he spoke, Finiao stopped paying attention to the rats that were rushing towards him like crazy, and instead ran forward with all his strength on the ground that was flooded with rats. In short, the top priority was to get to the exit. Although the bright red dress on his body would protect the birds from the rats, the exposed parts were another matter. Being bitten by the rat's small fangs, Asuka's hands and feet began to bleed everywhere. Just as the flying bird fell out of the underground passage in embarrassment, countless shadows rushed out behind her. However, all these shadows were intercepted. The crow-like red and black wings spread out gorgeously, and the brilliance of countless blades bloomed on the girl who suddenly appeared in front of Juyuan Asuka, as if she had turned into a steel hedgehog in an instant. How dare a lowly rat hurt my compatriots? Consider how much you weigh. These beasts. Shouting in a proud and condescending tone, the high-speed running shadow was like a tornado with sharp blades, guarding every corner of the passage at a speed that could not be discerned by the naked eye of a distant bird. Before he even had time to blink, this blow would destroy everything. Enemies turned to dust. Letitia, is that you? Asuka turned around after hearing the voice and said in surprise. Although the voice of the person who came was very similar to Letitia, the appearance of the person in front of him was similar to Letitia. West Asia is very different. Letitia's appearance is no longer that of the usual young-looking maid. The appearance of a cute girl has been transformed into a woman exuding a coquettish temperament. The favorite ribbon on her beautiful blonde hair has been untied, shining with dazzling light. The maid's uniform changed to a dark red leather jacket, and she also wore a strange skirt that looked like a ring. The dramatic transformation makes people no longer think of the usually gentle Letitia. At this moment, Letitia's beautiful face was distorted with anger. She ferociously exposed her vampire-like fangs and roared loudly. Where is the manipulator hiding? Come out quickly. If you dare to launch an attack in such a public place, you should be mentally prepared. Then I will use my fangs and claws to let you taste the power of our flag. Quickly use the name of the community and stand up to defend. Letitia's passionate shout echoed at the entrance of the cave, but there was no response or any movement. The rat swarm, which was originally so numerous, retreated one after another when the shadows began to scurry around. There was a gentle laughter, accompanied by the faint sound of a flute that seemed to be receding. Her brows furrowed deeply. Letitia naturally heard this provocative laughter, but she did not chase after him rashly. After all, taking care of Juyu and Asuka was the most important thing now. "Are you really Letitia?" the disbelieving words of the girl behind her rang out. "That's right, how could Asuka be in such a mess?" he said as he turned around. The ferociousness of the vampire on his face had faded away, turning into a gentle neighbor's sister. "This, my gift has no effect on those mice," Finiao said and lowered his head a little lonely. "Is this what it is like?" Letitia tied the silk in her hair again and transformed into a little girl. Her voice became childish again. "It seems because the other party is also using the gift to control these rats." "I'm afraid it's the function of the flute," Letitia said, and Juyu and Finiao also recalled the strange sound of the flute. "Ah, I feel inexplicably frustrated when my gift is suppressed by others," Kuyu and Asuka said with some self-deprecation. "Asuka doesn't have to be like this. After all, your gift is not yet flexible enough to be used. But I finally found you. It's almost dark. You should pay attention to the time when you go out to play alone." He said this helplessly, while Asuka showed a surprised look. "Hey, is it already dark?" "Yes, Black Rabbit and Izayoi came back at noon. After waiting for a long time, they didn't see you coming back, Asuka, so everyone came out to look for you." I'm really sorry. I accidentally lost track of time." Asuka scratched his head and looked embarrassed, while Letitia shook her head helplessly. "Okay, go back quickly, you are really out of character like this." "Ah, that seems to be the case." Patting his dusty body, Juyu and Asuka looked very embarrassed. "At this moment, my body was stained with mud and rat blood, and I was really unkempt and unseemly." When Letitia left with Juyu and Asuka, footsteps sounded again on the street where there were no more tourists. Shaking the flute in her hand, a sexy woman in extremely revealing clothes walked out of the passage. The woman was dressed in pure white, wearing a hat that looked like a clown. There was no other shirt or anything under the large cloak, and she was directly wearing sexy tight underwear, completely exposing her fiery figure that aroused people's imagination. "Knight of Hakoden? But you have lost your divine status and you only have this kind of strength. It doesn't seem to be anything to worry about." The mysterious woman was talking to herself like this, and then she spoke as if she was talking to someone. "It failed. Do you still want to continue and capture them?" "No need, launch a direct attack tomorrow." "I understand, my master." Saying this, the female figure immediately merged into the night and disappeared, as if it had never existed. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 360. The time has arrived in the morning, in the lobby of the hotel with Thousand Eyes. This place was originally a residence specially prepared for Byaksha, and the nameless people were able to spend the night here because of their luck. Bayasha stood in front of the table in the middle of the hall, propped his elbows on the table, and spoke in a very serious voice. "So everyone, let's start the first meeting to discuss how to make Black Rabbit's referee costume more sexy and cute." Veto. Agree. Veto. The nonsensical Izayoi seconded Shiroyashi's proposal, but was quickly rejected by Kuro Yosagi. "Ha ha ha, just to liven up the atmosphere after Black Rabbit rejected his proposal without mercy," Shiroyasha laughed indifferently. "Don't use these strange things to liven up the atmosphere. You also need to reflect on Izayoi. Don't just nod your head," shouted the Black Rabbit with explosive hair, pulled out a folding fan and hit it hard on Izayoi's forehead. "Ahem, okay, let's put aside the excitement for now. In fact, there are indeed very important things to get rid of Black Rabbit. I would like to ask Black Rabbit to be the referee for the finals starting today." "Oops. This is really an abrupt request." "Is there any reason?" Black Rabbit asked strangely. "Yes. Because the commotion you caused made the arrival of Moon Rabbit here public. the audience's expectations for seeing Moon Rabbit in the gift game that started today have also increased. Since the Hakoniwa nobles the news of the arrival has spread, and of course I can only let you appear. So I hope you can officially take over the tasks of referee and host, and I will also prepare additional rewards, Bayasha said with a helpless shrug. I understand. Then Black Rabbit will be responsible for the refereeing and hosting of today's game. Black Rabbit, who understood the cause of the matter, happily accepted Shiroyaksha's entrustment request. Well, thank you. As for the referee's clothing, I will wear that translucent black vest dress made of lace. After saying a few serious words, Shiroyasha revealed his true nature again. Veto. Agree. Totally rejected. Ah. Really? Please be more measured, Mr. Izayoi. The angry Black Rabbit once again pulled out the folding fan, but this time Izayoi dodged it. Ha ha ha, it's just to be active and liven up the atmosphere. Don't you think Black Rabbit should be so excited? Shiroyasha said with a smile again. This kind of thing cannot be used to liven up the atmosphere. Lord Shiroyasha, please be careful with your words. On the other hand, Yao Xiang, who had been staying out of the incident, suddenly came to his senses and asked Shiroyaksha a question. Shiroyasha, what kind of community is my opponent today? Sorry, I can't tell you this. Isn't it fair for the organizer to reveal information? The only thing I can tell you is the name of the community. Snapped. Shiroyasha snapped his fingers. Next, the parchment that appeared at the game venue during the day appeared again, and the same content appeared. Will-O-Wisp and Rattenfanger? When Asuka saw the name of the community written on it, Asuka's eyes widened in surprise. Yes. Although it is rare, these two communities are from the six-digit outer sect, which is the upper class. It is not wrong to think that the other party is one level higher. Although I can't say more, I suggest that you do certain things first. Be mentally prepared. After hearing Bayaksha's serious advice, Yao nodded, but Asuka here could no longer calm down. Whether it's Will-O-Wisp or Rattenfanger, the names of these two communities are the most memorable to Asuka. The lower level in the North District is the strongest, as well as the community to which the elves and the Red Giant belong. On the other hand, Izayoi stared at the contract document and smiled restlessly. Oh, Rattenfanger? I see, is this a community of Rattenfanger? Then tomorrow's enemy will simply be Hamel's Piper Clown. Hey, what did you say, Rattenfanger, a rat-catching clown who plays the flute? After hearing these words, Juyuan Asuka asked in surprise as he was immediately connected to something that happened last night. The flute-playing rat-catching clown, so that's it, is it her? Just as Asuka finished his surprised words, another voice rang out, and then a hand reached across the crowd and pressed on the handwriting of Rattenfanger. I see. The recent news that the so-called Piper of Hamel is the name of a community affiliated with the Demon King, does it seem like this news is not groundless? Shiroyaksha looked at Nai, who suddenly walked over. Shan Aisha, Yayu, and Afaiz asked. Naturally, Nayashanisa, the leader of the Demon Kings, knows more about the news about various Demon Kings than she, a class ruler. Hey, good morning, you two Masters Long. It looks like you had a great time last night. Izayoi seemed to have noticed that Nasha, Neza, and Afaiz came out of Yayu's room. Izayoi said with a look full of ridicule. However, Nasha and Neza obviously didn't care at all, and Afaiz was also a guy who didn't care about other people's eyes. The girl even thought that what Izayoi said was very natural and there was nothing surprising. On the contrary, Black Rabbit and the others were shocked by Izayoi's bold words, but they were relieved when they saw that both Nasha, Neza, and Afaiz looked indifferent. No wonder Master Nasha asked Yayu to leave. It turned out that it was just to do this kind of thing. They all said that dragon nature is inherently obscene, but I thought it was a lie. Black Rabbit seemed to have thought of something bad, and his pretty face instantly turned red. It's true that the name of the Demon King's community is Grim Grimoire. If it's correct, he should be a member of this community. He didn't care about Izaoi's words, and he didn't notice the strange behavior of Black Rabbit. Nasha continued to explain. So this is this community? It is said that their leader is a demon king with special abilities. He once summoned demons from nearly 200 grimoires and led a community named Grim.Grimoire. However, after losing the gift game with a certain community, that demon king should no longer be alive. After Nasha and Naza finished speaking, Black Rabbit said this with some confusion.